if your profile is still blank, you're basically stuck in 2023. And I can help you upgrade it, build content, write posts, and position yourself as an authority, especially if you're a new founder or pivoting careers. One quick ask, if you find value in this meetup and you want to post on LinkedIn, tag me. That helps me know, that we're, people discover the meetup and that we're doing a good job. So I appreciate it. Now, quick rundown of tonight. From 6:30 to 7, it's networking. From 7 to say 8-ish, the presentation goes, and we have Q&A interspersed. What else? But we have a hard close at 8:30. So maybe from 8 to 8:30, if you want to ask Eddy questions, that's good, but we got to be out of here because I got to clean the room. And if you park in the building, I have $8 parking vouchers here, so make sure you come and get one afterwards, after the meetup. After it's over, the presentation. I also want to say huge thanks to the Capital Factory. Yay, let's clap. They give us a live feed, so there's a YouTube channel and you can catch this afterwards if you want. They also, what else do they do? Oh, Capital Factory has memberships, entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, investors. You should join. If you want to join, go to capitalfactory.com or connect with our wonderful liaison, Elijah Singer. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the speaker. I met Eddy Hernández about 18 months ago when he first moved here. He was always welcoming. I'd see him in the rooms. He'd always come up and smile. I think I met him at several events. Just the nicest person. And then I saw him at AI hackathons. He's a brilliant person. And he's always the guy making everyone feel welcome. Since then, I've watched him evolve into a superhero. And he is. Now, Eddy's a 2-time founder, an AI builder, and an early stage VC scout for Angel Hub Ventures, the largest angel syndicate in Mexico. And tonight he's teaching us about n8n. I think a lot of people know what that is. It's been trending a lot. So if you haven't tried it, it's one of the fastest growing tools in automation. Drag and drop, easy for non-developers, powerful enough for devs. Basically, it makes AI agents and workflows accessible to everyone. He's going to walk us through how to get started, core fundamentals, resources to go from 0 to hero, and 3 to 5 live automation builds using Airtable, Supabase, and more. He's also the founder of Hubble, building AI agents that gather, connect, and organize hyper-local data like a human researcher, only faster. Without further ado, let's welcome Eddy Hernández!
Hello. Does it work? Howdy. Hello. Hello. Can you just
Oh,
stop
we have
hello?
the speaker. No,
Yeah,
we can't, because Auto Tech Live, then it...
They have other ones behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3.
You have cherry nose.
Hello.
Thanks for telling us that.
Hello.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, this one works. Awesome. Okay.
I forgot to use the microphone.
No worries. Hello. Okay, awesome. So let's get started. So you don't need to take pictures or notes because I'm going to share this at the end, so no worries. But TLDR, well, already Sharon introduced me, but I'm originally from Monterrey, Mexico, and I came here like 1.5 years ago, and I'm building my second startup, which basically we want to build kind of like Expedia, where you can navigate all event platforms. Think Meetup, Eventbrite, Luma, or even things outside of like networking. For example, for music, there's Resident Advisor or other different platforms. So we want to aggregate all of them and put it into one place so it's easier to navigate. And I'm also scouting, so it's for Angel Hub Ventures. It's the biggest syndicate out of Mexico, but me specifically, I'm gonna be investing here in Austin. We have, I think right now, 76 portfolio companies, only one unicorn. It's small checks, early stage. It's agnostic, but it has to be AI driven and ideally with some revenue, validation, or traction. So now let's get started. For context, 3 months ago, I wanted to learn about AI automation using n8n that I just saw it like popping on Twitter, YouTube, and everything. And some takeaways, it's not rocket science, yet it's not that easy. Has anyone here tried n8n before? And you won't let me like lie. At the beginning, you're like, where do I start? It's kind of like complicated. It kind of felt interesting, kind of like when you start coding, at least as a developer, that you just see like people like popping the terminal and doing like crazy stuff, and you're like, how they do it, right? But with that said, it's intimidating. Something that I'm gonna show at the very last is gonna be, you can also use AI to build your workflows. It's still not that good because it makes some mistakes, but it's gonna get like good eventually because it's like a new thing. And I can share you a lot of hacks that can save you a lot of time. And n8n is really good for small workflows, easy, like not rocket science, but whenever they are like really large workflows that I can show you, like some examples, it becomes a little, it's not there. So the first question, what does n8n stand for? Does anyone know? Almost. Well, it stands for Nodemation. So there's a thing called n8n. It's kind of like an acronym. So basically what they're doing, they're putting the letters from the O to the O, which are 8 characters, into an 8. So it's n8n. That's the meaning. And second question, and last one, from what country is n8n from? Yeah, from Germany. From Berlin. And actually, a couple of weeks ago, like literally like last month, it was announced that now it's a unicorn. That's pretty cool. So as they have a lot of funding, it's just gonna get better. First, with hosting, you can host it in kind of like 5 categories of places. The easiest one is the proprietary of n8n, which is n8n Cloud. It's like $20. You can also like self-host it in these kind of places like DigitalOcean or Hostinger. If you have free credits, you can use them. That's cool. There's also other tools. That's how I started. It's called like one-click deployments. Super simple. There's Railway, Render, Fly.io. You can also use cloud providers like GCP, which is Google, AWS, Amazon, or Azure. That's the most scalable, but it's a little like more setup, so it's a little harder. And the other option, which I don't know why not a lot of people use, at least online, is self-hosting, which is free, which I really like. I mean, you only need like your computer. That's what I'm gonna be doing. So I'm gonna show you like how easy it is. So in 4 steps. So the first step is you need something called Docker, which is basically kind of like a simple way for it being like standardized and being running in your computer. So you literally just go to Docker and you can download it. For example, me, that I'm using a Mac, so you download whatever version you need. Or you can also, like for developers, you can just run this command and it will download it. It's called brew install. I already have it, so let me open it. So when you open it, it will look like this. And then the second step, wait. Okay, you open it. The third one, you need to install n8n, which is pretty simple. Docker is also intimidating, especially if you're not a developer. But TLDR, you go to this part, to the search bar, and you just search for n8n. And there's a lot of people like put like their own configurations, but just download the one that is like the official one. And it's clearly the official one because it has a lot of downloads, has over 100 million, and a lot of stars, like compared to others. So yeah, so you just pull and run, and it's gonna be working. I already have it, so you just run it here. Also, there's a command, and you can change like a little the configuration. So it is open source, meaning so the company says like, hey, anyone can download it, you can fine tuning, and you can do whatever you want. So here, this is the code that I usually run, but yeah. At the end, I'm gonna put 2 videos that are super simple, and you can like just follow. So it's easier, and you can do that on your apartment or at work. And then you just open it on, if it's self-hosted, it will be running on this port. So in Docker, it looks like this. Here it says, localhost 5678. And now you have n8n. That's it. Then whenever, like you start at the beginning, and here you have like your own kind of like configuration. So you can create a folder. So for this one, I created this folder called Capital Factory Tutorials. And I just click, and you can like create a new workflow. It literally just looks like this. And you will start from 0. So for the first example, it's gonna be here. Wait. Oh, this is super important and super cool. There's over 5,000 templates, and every day they're adding more. So whatever tool you want to use, and you're gonna see like how many tools there are. So you go here and you say like, okay, I want to use Google Sheets because I'm doing invoicing, or I'm using Airtable, or whatever tool you're using. You want it for creating posts for LinkedIn, etc. So you just go here and you say, okay, I want something that is for Google Sheets, and you will see a lot of examples, and you can just grab them. For example, you can grab this, literally. Wait a second, then you can copy everything. And you just paste it, and now you have the whole workflow of someone else. It's not working yet because you have to configure some things, like, hey, connect it to your Google Sheets, not the one that they're using or whatever. But and you have to put, for example, your AI credentials for running your own ChatGPT or whatsoever, but it just made like 95% of the work for you. But and from there, actually, I grabbed this idea for today. It was the first one. If I go to the, yeah, here, it says, talk to your Google Sheets using ChatGPT 5. So from there, I got like kind of like that idea. So at the beginning, so a workflow, think like it's literally like a process of something that you want to do with AI. So there's 3 triggers that I think are like the main one that you will see, especially in tutorials or in the workflows, on the templates. Like, how do you want to run it? So the most basic one is trigger manually. Literally like, hey, I want to run this, just execute, and that's it, right? Not rocket science. There's another one that is pretty common, that is the one that I'm going to be using, which is the chat one. Oh, sorry. Here is on chat message, which is basically when you want to make kind of like a chat GPT kind of like workflow. So I can put a like a comment like, hey, hello world, or tell me the temperature of today, and it will tell you. And there's another one that is really useful, that is the one that I actually use the most, which is a trigger on app events. This one is so useful. So you can do, for example, so if you go to Google Sheets, you can say stuff like, hey, every time that a raw is added on your Google Sheets, trigger this. Like, hey, send me a Slack notification that someone just bought a ticket. Or send an email because a form was sent. So, and you can start like triggering a workflow, which is pretty useful. And now let's build. I'm gonna show you like how easy it is to make an AI workflow. So what I'm gonna try to do right now is I'm gonna make an AI that you can chat with, and it can read information from a Google Sheets, and it can even update Google Sheets. So here I have like a really simple example of all the events that are happening here in town for this week for like tech events. So we have, for example, the one that is today is this one. Like it's on Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30, Capital Factory. This is the address. It was posted in Luma, Meetup, Eventbrite, and then I can manually put if I came to this event, right? So, and I have like a lot of events. So with that said, I'm gonna make like a really simple workflow where I can ask like, hey, tell me all the events happening on Tuesday, or tell me all the events that are at Capital Factory, or whatever. So how I'm gonna start is with a chat message one, and then you just connect it, and everything is about nodes, about like input, output. So the next one I'm gonna add, for example, this is one of the most common ones, is an AI agent. And the AI agent is very interesting because it has this structure that I'm gonna share in the next slide. The composition of an n8n AI agent is first the input, like what is coming. In this case, it's gonna be a prompt, like, hey, tell me all the events happening on Wednesday. The output, and then you need to connect. The only one that is required is the chat model, which is basically the LLM. So you can connect any of the typical LLMs, OpenAI, Gemini, Anthropic, etc. A memory, if you wanted to keep memory of the chat, for example, think like how like with ChatGPT, you can reference stuff that you talked to it yesterday. And the tools, for example, in this case, Google Sheets. So it's super simple. You have I usually use Gemini because it's very smart. But to be honest, all of them work. You can put a memory. In this case, I'm not going to do it. And then you can put tools. Look how many tools there are. There's from, hey, I wanted to talk to my database, to a lot of like plugin things like Airtable, Asana. There's so many. Like the list is like, it's almost infinite. But in this case, I'm going to do Sheets. And I'm going to create one. Oh, you need to connect your credentials so it can talk to your Google Sheets, or if your Google Sheets is public, well, it's public, so anyone can read. In this case, I'm gonna say, hey, from this Google Sheets, just grab it, like from here, and the sheet is called sheet number 1. And I'm gonna say, get rows, and I can just test it. And it just read all the events happening. For example, it's going to be around the 13th, I think. Yeah, the n8n one. And it will grab all the information from here. So just in a matter of seconds, you can have like, now your AI has access to these Google Sheets. And then I'm going to clean it so it looks better. Then I'm going to create another one, another tool, so it can update. So it's going to be able to do kind of like, hey, I went to this one, so you can update, right? It's super simple. So it's pretty similar. So you just open it, and I'm going to change the operation here. I'm going to, instead of get rows, it's going to be update a row from list, the same one. Event September 1st to the 7th, same sheet. And by default, it's going to try to look at the columns. In this case, I only wanted to update the attended one. And I'm going to tell it updated based on the row number. And you can tell the LLM, like, hey, you figure it out. Because I'm not going to tell you, like, oh, it's the cell number 5. Like, you as an LLM, you should know. So Gemini is smart enough to know. And just in a matter of seconds, I can ask something like, when is the n8n event this week or something? I'm gonna try to read it. And I'm sorry, it couldn't. It's interesting. Sometimes it has some mistakes, and that's the next thing that I want to say. The recommendations. I have 2 recommendations for your workflows to always work. Is always use a system message, which is kind of The chat input is gonna change depending on the prompt of the user, but the system message, you want it like always to be consistent or barely and with minimum changes. I already have one that is super simple. It says system message. You are an AI assistant with access to Google Sheets, database of Austin tech events, blah, blah. It's like super simple. And you have access to, well, let's see it here, expression. This is just like an example. In here, always retrieve all rows first, then use one of these two tools. So it has access to two tools. One is for getting events, and the other one is for updating the attendance. And the columns, I mean, I give all the columns and some rules like be concise and returns array of events. Now let's see if it works. I still have 2 more recommendations, but let's try again. So here, it first went to the first tool, yeah, and it gave an output, and it says, the n8n tutorial for beginners is happening Wednesday, September 3rd from 6:30 to 8:30 at Capital Factory. So just like in literally like in 5 to 10 minutes, you can build a workflow, and now we can have access to your whole database. So now I'm gonna ask, update. For example, here you can do like a lot of things. So first, let me do all the other. So the first one is put the system message. So it'll, oh, sorry. Yeah. So first, always put the system message, which is kind of like all the rules for your AI agent. Second one is, I like it a lot, is require a specific output. So I don't like that in this case, the AI model is giving me the output like this, just like some text. I want it like more structure so I can play with it later, especially when I want to connect this to a custom code. Something I do, and I don't know why a lot of people in the tutorials, they were not doing this. So you come here and you say, require a specific output format. You toggle the switch, and then you can come here to a new option that just appeared that says output parser. And you put the structure output parser. And here you can give like an example of what are you expecting, especially when you're gonna be processing a lot of things. It's really important. So I'm just gonna copy paste it, but TLDR, and here they have a whole, they have a bunch of examples and a whole documentation on how to do this kind of like format. You can grab all the examples, put it on ChatGPT, hey, like it's cool, but just change it so because I want it like this and like that. And it will build it, but it looks something like this. You say, I want an object that has name, day, start, and you put it as it's a string, or for example, attended is a Boolean, so true or false. And with that said, let me do one more. What was it? Oh. And one that I use a lot, because for some reason, sometimes it just fails. I always put the return fail, and automatically it will try 3 times, and waiting between each try 1 second. So now I'm gonna try again, and I'm gonna say, bring me all the events happening at Capital Factory. So you just let it run, and in a couple of seconds, we're gonna have something like it's like more structure. And later, if you wanna do interesting things with code or whatever thing, or you can grab like, for example, if you have eventually like something like with emails, for example, well, yeah, you can do like a lot of interesting things. And if you don't give it a structure output, the problem is sometimes you will receive the output with different kind of like structures. So you're more like prompt into having errors. So that's basically the first part, and have to build an AI agent from scratch manually. Are there any questions? Hmm? Which one? Dual? Where is it? Yeah, dual. Ah, tool. Yeah. So in this case, okay, let me. It's a little crowded, but these things they are called tools. Yeah. So all of these ones they are tools, and you can connect multiple tools. Um, you can do, for example, an AI agent that has access to 20 tools, and it can, depending on the prompt or in the input, it can probably like send an email or do this or do that. For example, let me show you an example. I remember this video. Wait. Yeah. So this one has multiple tools. So you can have your AI agent, for example, that has like multiple tools. Let's say that you want like, oh, get a joke. So apparently it's a tool for getting a joke. Or what's the time now? Or it has access to Wikipedia, has access to create a password. So you can connect it to many tools. So depending on whatever your AI agent need to do, it can do something. For example, this one is probably like do a blog post or something with RSS. The other time I saw this guy who was doing like this AI agent and had access to making posts on 8 different platforms, one Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Any other questions? Yeah.
What's going on, brother? For your system prompt,
Mhm.
can you just kind of talk about how you structured that, and after you created your tools, did you decide to tell when the system prompt was available, or how did you go about doing that?
Well, for this one, literally, I just went to any LLM. In this case, I was using, I mean, you can go to ChatGPT and you can say, hey, I'm building an n8n agent that does this. Can you please, for example, if I go right now to Cloud Code, so you can ask like, hey, make me a system prompt for, so you just give like all the kind of like basic instructions as if you're telling like someone, and it will build it. Like build, yeah, but to be honest, Claude is really good with anything related with both code or math. But with more like basic stuff, I think, I mean, to be honest, as we're not doing anything that is rocket science, any, like Gemini, ChatGPT, etc. Yeah, they work. Really simple system prompt. Any other questions? Yeah.
So, right now we're using the locally hosted version of n8n to build this webflow, and it's free because it's just running on your computer. If you wanted to use the web version of n8n, would you have to pay a subscription to be able to access that, or could you also use it for free?
So literally, I just do something like this, like a little more like sophisticated, and it will like eventually just generate you like some prompt, and you just copy paste it, and that's it. Nothing rocket science. About that, yeah. So what I like about self-host is that it's free, but there's a lot of like small problems. For example, if you start like waste scraping a lot, it will know that it's your computer. So there's where like having like, I mean, there's always like hacks, but to be honest, if you have free credits, you can just host it on all the big cloud providers, and I mean, you can live out of there for a while.
Oh, because you're building it right now.
Yeah.
So during the build phase, are you able, I guess my question is, do you know if n8n offers like a free tier
Mm-hmm.
where they let you kind of build things for free on the web version, but then they charge you when you try to deploy, or if, I can look this up.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically how it works. So, I mean, this is a GUI, but if you want to host it and actually run, then it's when you need to pay. But if you do it locally, it's free. Well, we're gonna have more questions, but yeah. Okay, one last one.
Oh, I just wanted to ask about the hallucination and your experience with this. Does it stay within the parameters of what you built, or does it, like, you ask it an event and then it, like, makes something up?
Well, in this case, it's because it has access to this database. So, I mean, it's kind of like imagine that you can do like copy paste and do it and put it on ChatGPT, something similar. But in this case, you can basically do more like a standardized workflow that you can run, let's say, 1,000,000 times, or you can put like on a schedule. And hey, I want this to run every time that this happens. I want this to run at 9 a.m. to post something to Instagram. I want this to like. It's more like for having like a standardized way, and then a really good thing about n8n is you can have these workflows with your team, and you can do like some small changes. You can share it, etc. So it's pretty useful. Now I'm gonna show you a hack. Some, yeah, please.
NAN is using an AI that is external. So the hallucination sits on the AI, not really on NAN.
Oh yeah.
But there is one huge benefit on N8N. It's so much easier for you to query many, many times and get something that has less hallucination than what people tend to do, which is try to query something in the same context a million times.
Is that because you're querying it and building something to check it and putting it again
Uh,
to that?
you can do that, but usually querying, at least on images, which is exactly what we're testing right now, it gives you better results than if you try to build a gigantic prompt that just try to do everything at once. So in the end, NAN will help you more than the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, and eventually, like every time you don't like the output, you can just go like, "Hey, this is what this was my input, this was my output. Can you change the system prompt so it's more to what I really want?" And you can like brute force it until you get what you want. And now I'm gonna show you something that is gonna be growing a lot, which is building your own AI workflows. But instead of you doing manually, now it's AI who builds it. So there's this thing called MCP, which is basically like a protocol. And so I'm not gonna do it, but at the end, there's some YouTube video that he basically does it like super simple. It takes like 20 minutes, probably less, but it's super simple. But basically, you add this to any of your AIs. It can be on your ChatGPT. In this case, I'm using Claude. So when you add this MCP, here you go to settings, for example. You don't need to do it right now, but on connectors, you can add like multiple connections, and you can add your custom connectors. In this case, I already have n8n MCP. And now I have like a project where, in this case, for example, I previously created like this whole PRD, which is kind of like your rules for, hey, I want an AI agent that does this, that does that. So you put like all your rules. So basically, I'm gonna try, in this case, for the AI to build it 100% with zero interaction of me. So I'm gonna say like, hey, generate that n8n workflow. It's an AI-powered chat interface for managing async events. You put like the cheat, the architecture, the component, and I build this, well, like Claude build it, but if I just copy it and I put it here, it's gonna take like 2 to 3 minutes, so we can do more questions. Meanwhile, any questions? Yeah, I mean, for example, I'm not paying for ChatGPT, but I can probably like test it right now on ChatGPT. I haven't done it, but yeah. But the problem, like, whenever you don't pay, is like after, I don't know, like 20 queries, is like, hey, you have to pay, right? So, and well, I probably shouldn't say this, but you can get a lot of free credit for LLM. So, but not for Anthropic. I've never heard someone that has Anthropic for free.
How do you get the credit?
Talk to me afterwards. Nah. It's off the record. No, I'm kidding. Any other questions on that side?
So this, what you just pasted in Claude, did you ask Claude to write that script that you're pasting, or have you?
Yeah. Well, like Yeah, so before I just asked like, so what I did was I just grabbed this. It was just like for today's demo. I built it this morning. I just copy paste and like this one, and I went to Claude like, hey, can you make a PRD of this? And that's how. But to be honest, like a lot of people just build their kind of like instructions and they just copy and paste it. For example, I grabbed this video that is gonna be in the end. It's still thinking, so, or did it finish? Oh no, yeah. It just finished. So literally I can just copy paste. So I'm gonna go to a new one, that is the one that I call example 2 using AI plus MCP. And the sad thing is usually it had mistakes. Yeah, it's not working. I knew it. I don't know why, like I see these videos like, oh, it's the future MCP, and it always has mistakes. Yeah. Okay, but it should work, supposedly. But, and that's a little sad. But that's actually the one that I don't use. What I use is something called Cloud Code, and this is the good one. So basically, what I do is I start AI workflow. Well, I can probably ask. Try again, not working. Well, and something interesting about this, like if you grab a templates, well, yeah, the workflow, sorry. So whenever you grab a workflow, as you can copy paste, I was kind of like thinking like, what is happening like behind the scenes? Like how come that I can literally copy paste this? Because it was like so weird. So what is really happening? Damn, what happened? It's everything is just a file called JSON. Anyone who's a developer will know about it. So all of this is a JSON file, meaning if you grab your code base, for example, you open like something like cursor, n8n data, here's where I save everything. If you open like some random like JSON file, this guy is .test. So literally, I can just grab this and tell, this is what you're gonna see in a couple of seconds. But for example, I can just grab this and put it, and it's a JSON file which has like all the instructions. And behind the scenes, what is happening is just a bunch of nodes, and it's basically telling like kind of like everything, like where is it located, what is it connected to, etc. Right? So the thing that I'm gonna do right now, which is how I actually work with n8n, because this was not working, the MCP that they really kind of like brag about, that is super good. So what I do is I grab my workflows. What? And I just copy here, like on a file, whatever. And then I open this tool that is called Cloud Code. That is pretty nice, highly recommended, although it's a little expensive. And here I can literally do the same of a PRD, but it's way better and way easier. And you can do, for example, if you say, hey, let me, this whole file, so you're gonna edit this file, in this case it has another name. Sorry. So I'm gonna say, hey, I want you to edit this file. Copy relative path. And you give the context, and now you say, hey, add this feature, which is group by venue. So I want the workflow to be able to basically put like all the events at Capital Factory, all the events at WeWork, all the events like online. So this is how I actually work now, like nowadays with this tool. So I basically just copy paste and tell, go edit this file and make some changes. I'm gonna do like one like pretty fast. And now I'm gonna show you, for example, it's gonna grab this and it's gonna add a new node, which basically group all by venue. So we just wait like literally like, I can close this one. No, I need to give access. What else we have here? And then I'm gonna give you some recommendations on how to work with really large workflows. So yeah, so technically right now I can just come here, oh sorry, and just grab the new kind of like version, and I can put it here, which is empty. Now, damn, didn't work. Interesting. I'm gonna say, okay, try again, use a code, okay. But this one, for me, works the best. So I'm gonna show you, like right now, for example, like the ones that I'm right now working with, they look more like this. Hobo B3. Yeah, I'm paying $100 a month. Yeah, for example, the ones that I usually work, they're pretty long. But to be honest, right now I'm building like 90% is cloud code and 10% is just me like fine tuning. So I basically, what I do is I separate. So something that you need to do, it's highly recommended, is avoid large workflows that have spaghetti code. What do I mean by spaghetti code? Is this. Whenever you have like really long workflows, let's say like these ones shouldn't be talking to something that happened here, or this one shouldn't be talking to something like here and here and connected. So what I do, which is what I really recommend, is each workflow, you just separate it by sections. And every section has like kind of like a task. And each one, I always start with like section, for example, like 2, input. Then I put at the end, section 2, output. Then the next one, it just like, it will receive stuff from the section 2 input and from the section 1 input, right? And so forth. So that way, what I actually, like how I work is like this. Oh, let me just. So on a daily basis, when I want to like do some updates, what I do is I just copy it like on a playground thing, and I start like making like changes on this section. And whenever it's already working, kind of like this black box that has an input and an output, then I just go back and copy paste it, and it should be working. That's a really big recommendation. And now it should be ready. The one that I was working with, this one. Let's see if it works. It wasn't here. Awesome. So now I just told it like try again, but try using the code, for example, a node. So I was a little more specific, and I'm gonna try to give me all the events from Wednesday, for example. So now what it's gonna do is gonna go here, gonna look at all the events. There should be around, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's gonna put them by where the venue is. So there's 3 at Capital Factory, 1 RSVP, and 1 at this place that I don't know, called Hotspot. Close this one. And yeah, what it did on known venue, yeah, it had a small mistake. So here, usually what I do, so I work like node by node. So what I do is I just copy the whole like input. And usually, like for every node, like it takes like 3 tries without basically doing anything, just like copy paste, and eventually like it works. It's a little slow, but something that later you can do that I already did for my personal project. I'm giving it like a lot of like kind of like instructions, for example, but that's like more like for a personal one. And in this one, you can give it to Cloud Code like a lot of really good kind of guidelines, so it makes less mistakes. And this one, hopefully, now it works. I go back, delete it. now this one should work. There you go. We have all the events at Capital Factory. There are 3. We have one at Hotspot and one at RSVP. So that's pretty much how I work nowadays. So instead of me like doing everything manually, I just try to let Cloud Code or any AI build my own workflows. Well, I mean, how I personally do it, I mean, how I do it is, for example, I usually put like how I think it should work, what should be the input, what should be the output. You can do it kind of like a black box and eventually like start working from there. So usually with a PRD, you will put things, for example, like what is my, you put also a lot of test cases, so you can test it like multiple times, and you as a human, you already know like, okay, if I'm gonna input, for example, an input that will give me the Google Map location of this place. So I'm gonna test it like multiple times with places that I know, let's say like Hub.is or Capital Factory, etc. And I already have like an expected like output, and I test it like 5 times, and if it works, it's pretty good. And also right now, AI can build all these test cases, and then whenever you have like, you understand your input and your output, then you do everything that is on the middle. Okay, let me just finish pretty fast and we can do to Q&A. So these are really good YouTube channels that really help me to get started. This one is pretty interesting. It's called AI Automatization. So he has his YouTube channel and this thing that is kind of like a school. He has over 100K people here. We're over 100K members, and he has so many videos for everything. I watched a couple, and for example, the one that I was talking about, this one. Like, hey,
9 different social channels. I'm also going to give you guys all the resources that
it's just like this kind of like way from how from some Google Sheets you can start doing posts on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, on TikTok, LinkedIn, etc. So this guy has like so many videos, and super cool. And he also has like a whole like kind of like classroom where you can start like with some videos and everything that I really recommend. He also has some discount codes. What else? Sorry. And then this one is also like one of my favorites. I think he makes like everything like super clear. At the end, there's gonna be a QR code with the presentation, but yeah. And then also for the MCP, which is not that good, but it's gonna get better, definitely, because it was just announced a couple of weeks ago. There's these 2 videos on how to start with that, and something that I'm gonna be playing with soon is this one. Is how you can have like also React app, like kind of like code, and then you can connect it so your application, so your web app or your mobile app can be talking to your n8n workflows. So something that happens on your app can actually trigger an n8n workflow. And this video, and well, this YouTuber in general, he does like pretty comprehensive videos, so highly recommend it. Then, and he used a tool called Coolify to connect Next.js to n8n. Yes? Yeah, it's here at the end. Yeah. I'm about to finish. So something that I really recommend. So I started like 3 months ago, and right now, like, I'm not a pro, and for some reason, AI still makes mistakes, but it's really powerful, and it's just gonna get better and better and better. MCP was announced less than a year ago, and it's already like doing like almost 80% of my code, so it's pretty nice. It's powerful, and now that I'm starting to actually build my own AI agents from scratch, from code, it really helped me like build the mentality for building workflows. Something that I have as an ask, you know any really good AI startups, early stage here in Austin, please send it to me. Like they've been asking like, hey, send me more things, like you're in Austin, and there's not a lot that is cool, but preferably something that is like super early, and more software than hardware, so it's not capital intensive, and with some like kind of like validation. And last but not least, I'm gonna be building a pretty cool startup that you need to check out. It's gonna be super cool. It's called Hubble with Damian, who is right here, and we're gonna be raising a really small angel round. So if you know any angels, also send them my way. Last but not least, the links, finally. So it has the presentation, and there you can follow, you can see all the links for YouTube to start like learning. The AI Automatization Society, highly recommended. He has over 100 videos, and all of them are pretty good. So what I do is usually I do one of the tutorials of something that I want to apply for myself. Like, for example, I did a tutorial on Google Sheets. And then first I do the tutorial, and then I apply it for my workflow. Then I do a tutorial for Airtable, then apply it to my workflow, and so on. So don't go into the rabbit hole of only doing tutorials and tutorials and tutorials. Do tutorials and then apply it to something on your day-to-day. I think that's pretty much it. Have any questions?
So you showed us the PRD and the cloud code
Yeah.
and everything. Why would we do that versus just adding nodes on n8n, creating an agent from there?
Yeah, you can do it everything manually, but I do think like right now it's super useful, especially when it's like super big, the workflow, and you have like over 30 to 40 nodes. You want to make a change, and the change like breaks something, etc. So right now, like it's super nice that I can just like put a like just an input and like, hey, try to fix it. And I said like, this is what I expect. This is what I need to do. And then I go like to the kitchen, I eat something and come back. Okay, it almost, okay, I try again. And after like 3 prompts, it's already done. So it takes like less of your like human time. And I think that's the main thing. Any more questions?
I saw there is a tool section for the AI agent to access. If you were doing, or if you needed a tool that did, let's say, network monitoring,
Okay.
would it be better to actually provide it with some kind of code to access a different piece of software, or are there tools available that are pre-built to analyze a network?
Yeah, so I don't really know about like network per se, but if it has an API call, you can literally like the first one that is gonna come here is right here. It's called HTTP request tool, and you can literally do an HTTP like request. That's one of the most basic ones. And also like if you're a developer, you have a backend that is exposing XYZ like data, you can just like talk to it.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's 2 ways. So it depends a lot in how are you hosting it. So let me go back. So if you're hosting it on on one of the like kind of like these providers, they give you all the ways. It looks like this. So TLDR, you go to settings. And let me just save it. You go to settings, and you go to the part that says n8n API. No, is it this one? What is? Yeah, it's this one. So here I created like, well, yeah, and here you basically you create an API, and as this one is running like locally, it's kind of like weird, but basically if you do this, you will have always like your own URL. That's why you're paying these cloud providers, and you put that with the API key, and anyone can talk to your workflows. Then, well, there's one small like step, this one. So you need to activate it, and when you activate it, now people can talk to it if they have access to the API keys. Yeah, they will have access to this workflow only if you give them access to this one, right? So whatever you have like as public workflows, any other tool that has the API key, which is kind of like this, well, literally like a key, it will be able to trigger. And then, for example, for some workflows, you might say, hey, I want this kind of like data, so this is what I'm expecting. So you need to know like what's your input, your parameters. It's just pretty similar as if you build your like an API. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, to non yeah. So most people using n8n, I feel they're not developers, but one of the really good things it's with like that tool that I just show you, the one with Next.js and n8n. At least me, I'm gonna start like connecting like simple workflows that process like forms and do stuff with that data. And then I can connect my React app and just talk to it directly. 3 more questions? No one? Okay, there's one there. I I think so. It's weird because like I couldn't do it on Vercel, and it was telling me because you need like kind of like a server. Like it's so if it's not a serverless, then you can do it. So I think some of them, yeah, but that they are like serverless only, no. What do I mean by serverless or just like a server? Serverless is like it runs only when you kind of like trigger, but you want this thing to always be running. So that's what it means.
Yeah, I'm curious if you've played around with any of the alternatives to n8n and what you think the strengths and weaknesses are of n8n in comparison.
So me personally, I feel like this one is the only one that is really good for both for developers and for non-developers. The only one that I've kind of like with people from the team, we were like playing with was make.com and Flowwise. And I feel like they are made only for non-developers, which is most of the audience, right? But I really feel like n8n both is good for both like kind of like people, and also the fact that it's good for developers means that right now there's a lot of companies. For example, the one that I'm thinking right now is like Firecrawl or even like open source companies. They will build their own modules. For example, there's a startup from here, from Austin, and they just launched a couple of weeks ago. Like their own integration, for example. So if you have like a startup or a company or a software, you want to build your own like module, and then you will have like that node with the icon and everything with all the, yeah. So for example, so for them, if you install it, now you can play with the Toolhouse AI agent for like for example. So in summary, this one I feel like it gets the best of both worlds. That is good for non-developers and for developers. 2 more.
Can you explain some of your best practices when you get errors? Because like you showed, it's pretty seamless on copying
Yeah.
and uploading those right into n8n. But like you said, you got to integrate it to your own specifications. Are you dropping that back in to that LM and then asking, I want this to be processed for my specific purpose, or how are you going towards that?
So I'm still getting better at it, but for example, something that I did with mine, like personally, with this kind of, let me close this one, terminate. So what I did, it was like to, especially like me working with Cloud Code, I just gave it access to, hey, this is how like my labels look, right? Like, oh, there's biotech events, there's networking, there's like pet friendly, whatever. And then like, I just give it like a lot of like instructions. And the one that I feel like is the most important one, because then it will like start doing a bunch of like shenanigans, is this one. Wait. Don't edit existing nodes. Like only, or like for example, if I'm working on like on one node specifically, I'm like only edit this one, or don't edit anything, add a new one, or stuff like that. So that way it will look at the JSON file and it will go specifically to the one that you are trying right now to edit. And then after that, something that is pretty cool about n8n is anything you do, it always has an input and an output. So I'm working on a node per node basis. So whenever like this is already working, like cool, now I can move to the next one. I can move to the next one, and so forth.
That's awesome. If you don't mind me, what inspired you to create Angel Hub?
No, I'm not the creator of Angel Hub. No, so TLDR, Angel Hub. Well, I can tell you later. But it's the biggest syndicate. So the guy who started is 2 people. One of them, their family office is the most important family office from my hometown, and the other one, he went to Texas, to Houston, had an exit, went back, and he's trying to teach people, especially like from family offices or even like entrepreneurs, like how to invest in early stage like startups, because a lot of startups, then like a lot of people there, they think it's Shark Tank, and it's not that way. So yeah. Last one.
What's been your best use case
well, I've never used Zapier to be honest, but I've seen a lot like people use Zapier here. Is it Zapier? But my favorite use case, to be honest, is wave scraping. It's so good. For example, bubble tree. So I can grab like a URL, like this one, and I can say like, hey, go to this URL and just scrape it. For example, let me do right now. Yeah, for example, this is what I use for the MVP, but basically I can just come here. Let me see. Let me just disconnect everything. Sorry, let's try again. So I can just grab like a URL. So why didn't it work? Reference node doesn't exist. What reference node? Sorry. So I can literally go to a website. So in this case, is like the meetup of today. And then from this, I can just like grab like information. Who are the organizers? Where is it? Where's them? Like everything. So to be honest, you can be like wave scraping, and then you can be processing like all the information like later, and you can just like let it like run for 30 minutes while you're taking a shower or whatever, and you come back and it's done. And it did like so many things like manually. It will take me 4 hours. Now it takes me like 1 minute. So that's the main thing. So, well, without further ado, I think that's pretty much it. So my recommendation is get started, learn first how to do it like manually, and little by little start making sure that AI is making more of like most of your workflows, because that's basically the way to make it faster. Thank you. Yeah, come grab the tickets if you want a cheaper parking validation. It's gonna go down from like $20 to $8.